So my uncle generation, I have 3 uncles, 1 aunt, and they're still in China. And they are the ones who were like Red Guards age group. So Mao shut down schools completely. No schools, closed all schools. So ask young people, urban youth, to go to do political struggles daily for him. That's where I told you about struggle sessions and the red classes supposed to against the black classes. And so my uncle generation never finished high school. And but I was too young, of course, even to go to school. I just saw what's unfolding in China. So the height of Cultural Revolution, like I told you, when I was 4 or 5 years old, it's basically 68 and 69, those times. And the country was completely chaotic, and the economy was really, really bad. I just remember we're just hungry, just could not get enough food. Every family is supposed to register for food rationing coupons, and I was just hungry all the time. My uncle told me how to go get a rat in my grandmother's courtyard. Yeah, go catch a rat, because running around there, very dirty, and then you can maybe burn it on the fire and suck on the bones, and pretty soon rats run out too. And so I was just a child, just want to say, where can I get more food? My tummy was hungry. And by the time I was allowed to go to school, it's already at the peak of Cultural Revolution. The Red Guards will become very violent against each other. Like they have this group, that group fighting inside the cities. And Mao already achieved godlike supreme leader status. So the military people advised Mao to say, you should get rid of those kids now. They're become very violent. Literally you see bodies will flow down from the rivers. And the general said, you need to think about something, what to do with those violent kids fighting each other. So Mao started another campaign called the Down to the Mountain campaign. That means all the urban youth Red Guards who worship him, did all the Cultural Revolution for him, and called getting rid of 4 old culture, old custom, habits, and ideas. And so what I'm wearing, this Chinese style blouse, silk, was supposed to be also 4 olds. When the Red Guard go door to door looting private properties and saw you have 4 old furniture, old clothes like this, old pictures or something, then you'll get into trouble. So people were trying to bury this kind of clothes or books and photos and from past, either burn them or bury them, get rid of them, because they don't want to get caught. Because if you get caught, you could be black class, you can go to labor camps. So after all that years, Red Guard did Mao's bidding and fighting, right? And going after people, black class. And Mao wanted them to go to countryside to be re-educated by peasants. That's what the mountain, called the Down to the Mountain campaign is about. And so my 3 uncles, 1 aunt, each family is allowed to have 1 youngest child at home, be with parents. So my 3 older uncles had to all go to countryside. And 8 years, 10 years, and 12 years, only come home visit my grandparents, us, once a year. So my favorite uncle, 17, he went to countryside and come home once a year. I remember when he was sending away to countryside, I had 9 pennies, Chinese money. I love this uncle. I said, Uncle, you can have my money, my savings, 9 pennies, Chinese cents,
Yeah.
And he was kind of sad, and my grandmother was crying and all that. And I was able to go to school because Mao basically said, okay, we don't want the violence dominate the street anymore. Kind of like a mafia dominate the street, scary stuff, All law enforcement were told to shut down. Do not enforce. So you can literally watch people tortured to death and no law enforcement will intervene. Lots of Red Guards, they denounce their own families. So they will report to the Red Guard leaders, my mom is black class because she said this, she wrote this. And the Red Guards will torture their mom to death. And there's this horrible stories about young kids who feel like they were doing the right thing. and turning their family members to the authorities, then watch their parents tortured to death and they regret the rest of their life. There's some story on the internet about that. So I was able to go back to school because Mao said, okay. He went back to Beijing. He house arrested the another guy who is his political enemy. He took over China, become #1 supreme leader, and he sent all the kids who supported him to countryside for 10 years, average 10 years. So I was going to school, but I remember the first thing we did in school is to read Chairman Mao's little books. And it's Monday through Friday. Oh no, it's Monday through Saturday anyway. Everybody work for state. So my parents always work. As mothers, you don't have choice to stay home. You must work. You have guaranteed job. You must work, but you don't get paid much money because we're hungry, we're starving. You live on food rationing coupons. But if you don't work, then you don't get the food. So everybody has to work. I just remember that when I went to school, and then we hold a little read Mao's books, and we sing songs, and we read his quotations, and then we will do our studies. And so we barely had time for any other things. All religions, churches, temples, all were shut down, banned, called cult religions. And so the only religion you were allowed to believe is communism. And we had to write diaries to confess to Chairman Mao as student. So he become like our God, basically. And in your diary, you're supposed to say, Chairman Mao, I confess, I'm sorry. Today I say something or heard something or I thought about something is not correct. You apologize, right? And then you confess. Then you also urge to report in your diary whoever says something is not politically correct. And whoever, include your family members and your neighbors. So
this is robbing you of thought, even.
No,
the ability to
thought
think.
crime is real crime.
Yeah.
Thought crime. So I was smart enough to know my diary is not private. So I will play the game to be politically correct, but I always, here's what happened to me. I have this extra sense in my head to protect me and my family is because when I was 6 years old, supposed to go to first grade, my parents begged me to stay home to babysit my baby brother. He was 1 year old. When you were infant, when you go to state daycare, state factory daycare is super expensive. My parents, so everything is free under communism is, okay, it's a big lie. It's never true. So my parents said, please, we cannot afford his daycare and we need you to stay home to watch him for him. That means delay your school for a year. I threw a big fit because I wanted to go to school so bad. My parents are illiterate. That's why I thought that was the reason for them to be hungry, not have enough food. And I thought that was the reason. So I want to get educated. I want to read. But they told me, you cannot go to school for a year because you need a babysitter, your baby brother. So I stay home, babysit. They bribed me with a movie ticket to watch, like Romania fighting Nazis or something. So by the time I got 7 years old, I finally go to school. I was so motivated. I was a best student. So when you're a best student, you're supposed to join Mao's Young Pioneer. You know, red scarf. You wear red scarf because I was red child. I was eligible. But teacher have to approve you, nominate you to join Mao's Young Pioneer. And I was a little bit too confident. I told my girlfriend, I will be the first one to join because I'm a red child. I'm best student. I made 100% on all my subjects. She reported on me. She reported to my teacher. So my teacher called me into office at the age of 7 to say, we have a collective society. Your individual expression of self-confidence is not allowed. And we're not going to let you join Mao's Young Pioneer to wear that red scarf. You need to learn your lesson. You need to be like everybody else. Everybody else is like a machine, like a robot. So it's not about individualism. And so I complained to my parents, and my parents were very brainwashed. They supported my teacher. So I told myself at the age of 7, I need to keep some sense private to myself. Don't trust my family. Don't trust my friends. Wow. Who knows who's going to report me? So I have learned that since age of 7. That's how I survived China. After that,